very time killing. So that's why if we know or automation, it will be really helping in creating at least the regression scenario, or at least the scenario which are stable on these modules, so that you can quickly keep testing those scenarios on the different updates of your application, and you will uh, uh, go with the flow. So coming to Android emulators and simulators, so just there, like I said, there are thousands of devices, and you cannot buy all the devices. Fine, if you want to test on the some particular tablets or some particular iPhone, there's, I mean, no, it doesn't make sense to go to market and buy those devices. So there is an option called emulators, which are available on your PC, on which you can create a particular Android device, and it just emulates that action of Android devices. Fine. So there is an interview question, like what is the difference between Android emulator and iOS simulator, and basically what is the difference between emulator and simulators. So first of all, Android provides the Android emulators, iOS provides in iOS you have iOS simulators. And difference between emulator and emulator is almost nearly perfectly similar to your Android device. Whatever the physical device you are holding in your hand, it just imitates those action on your Android devices. But in simulator, it's just a software model of iPhone. It doesn't have much functionality regarding to in terms of functionality. What I'm trying to say is Android emulators can imitate the calls, SMS, GPS, whatever feature you want, it has it. Whatever feature in your Android device, it has it. It's nearly perfect Android phone. Fine. It's even the internal hardware architecture is similar to the what are present on Android devices, physical devices. But in terms of Android, iOS simulator, it's just a software model. It doesn't provide you the functionality of calling, functionality of SMS, push notifications, and etc. So how you can really create Android emulators, and what are these? So as our session is focused on Android, so I will try to focus on Android emulator. So how you will create it? Before that, you need to know something about Android Studio and something about ADB and all these things. So Android Studio is the platform. It's the IDE, integrated development environment, on which the project, the development is done. Like in case of Java and other language, the developers choose the Eclipse. Similarly, Google has provided the Android Studio, that is the IDE for development of Android. You can develop with other IDEs also, but currently it's the preferred one because it's provided by Google. It keeps updating with new features. It has a really fast environment. So if you go to Android Studio, you can download it. It's available on free of cost on all the platforms, say Windows or Mac or Linux, whatever. So once you open this, it will look like this. This is the project pane, in which project hierarchy is there. In the right pane, you can this is the editor, and on which you just code. So on the upper side, upper toolbar, you can see different options. Fine. So there is an option called Android Device Manager. There is an option called Android SDK Manager. There is an option called AVD Manager. So basically, AVD is Android Virtual Device. So Android virtual device is nothing but the emulator. Fine. So if you can click on that, you will be navigated to this screen. Fine. This is Android Virtual Device Manager. Here you can create your emulator. This is the default emulator which are provided by Android. So I have already created one, but if you want to create more, you just click on this create virtual device, and it will be navigated to again this screen, which has already pre-populated different configurations. Like it has Nexus 5, it has Nexus 5X6, 6P, with different screen sizes, different resolution, and different density, screen density. Fine. It also has Android TV, Android Wear, Android tablet. So whatever you want, you can create it. Fine. So let's say I want to create a new Nexus 5 configuration. So you just click on that, you will get all the configuration. It has 4.95-inch screen, it has 1080 by 1920 resolution, it has density of XX HDPI. HDPI is nothing but high density pixel. It's I mean, very high density pixel, or extra high density, extra basically extra high density pixels. So if you click on new hardware profile, you can name your device, whatever device you want. Fine. The device you want is type of phone and tablet. The screen size is this one. The resolution is this. You can even choose the RAM. You can choose the different options, like you want portrait mode, landscape mode, or camera option, accelerometer, gyroscope, GPS, and everything. Fine. And once you click OK, it will again ask you to choose just a minute. Okay. It will ask you to go to next, and on the next screen you have the option of choosing operating system. So you can see here that Marshmallow is available, its API. The left side is operating system release name, the middle one is API level. API level is basically provided by Google. So initially the Jelly Bean API number was 17, then moved to KitKat. KitKat has 19. In Lollipop they had 22. In Marshmallow the API level is 23. Then this is the internal architecture of the emulator. The emulator can be based on ARM architecture, or it can be x86 Intel architecture. Fine. So choosing this, you can just create next, and it will create a emulator for you. So I have already created that. So it says that it has Nexus 5, resolution is this, and here is a button of action of launching this AVD or editing this AVD. Fine. It also shows you how much size it is taking on your disk. So this is the currently default emulator which you can create with Android Studio. But the problem with the default is it's a kind of sluggish. I mean, it is not very fast. If you start this emulator, it will take 5 minutes, at least 3-4 minutes. If you are on a faster machine, if your machine is, I mean, of less configuration, it can take 10 or 12 minutes also. So right now, the how we can overcome with this, there is a third-party service called Genymotion. Fine. It also provides emulator. So going to site called genymotion.com/download, you can just you just create your sign up with this with your email ID or whatever. You can download the free version of Genymotion. It is also working in the same way as the default Android emulator. Fine. It is available on Windows, it is available on Linux, it is available on Mac. So currently I'm on Mac machine, that's why it's showing me the download option for Mac OS. So once I download, I will have an emulator like this. Fine. So before that, I will just show you how the Genymotion interface looks like. So it's currently starting, and once it gets started, you can see what are the devices that you have, what are the emulators that you have downloaded. Fine. So my user ID is this one, and I have downloaded 4 emulators till now. I can add more. So once you go to add, you can choose what operating system you want. You can choose what device configuration you want. So there's plenty of device configuration available, and it will show you. You just have to select it and download it. That's it. So once you will download and start, it will look like this. So it's kind of imitating the original device, how the original device look like. So coming to this one, I have a application called SportKicks. So we'll try to automate test scenario over this. So first of all, let me clear the data. And yes, before that, just a brief intro about what APK and what IPA file is. So APK is like you have exe file on Windows system. that is the executable file. So, and on Android system, the executable file are called APK file, that is Android package. Fine. So the extension is .apk, and whatever application that you download from Play Store are in the format of .apk. So we have a sportkicks.apk file, which I have already installed it. So how it will look like? It's basically a sport application, and which provides live score, which provides video and news and everything about sports. So we will try to emulate this launch screen, where the launch screen is displayed. From automation, I have to click. I will do this letter button, and when I click it, I will be having a welcome screen. I will click on OK, got it, and I will click on, say, any one of this tab. So we have live tab, we have video tab. So let's say we'll click on videos, and we'll go back to news. So this is the kind of, the simple scenario which we'll try to automate it, just to show you how automation on mobile works, or how automation, how easy it is to, automate your whatever application you are using. So before coming to automation, let's just discuss about some points. So there are different automation framework available, right? So you have heard about many automation framework which are available on desktop, on many frameworks which are available on devices. So why exactly choose Appium? Because our session is focused on Appium. Why should we choose Appium? Why not others? Because there are many others like Calabash, we have Monkeytalk, we have Robotium, we have UI Automator, Cell Android, Keep It Functional UI. Different, too many operating systems. Automation framework available. So why to choose Appium? First of all, I have worked on Frank, I have worked on UI automation, I have worked on Monkeytalk and Robotium. So the different first problem is that some of them are not available for both the iOS and Android platform. Fine. First issue. So you need to have a different automation framework for iOS and different form for Android. Plus, some of them are really targeted to a particular language. So you say you need to know Ruby, you need to know Perl, Python, or Java, or whatever. Plus, third one is you have to have the code base of that particular application. So taking the code plus adding some libraries from the respective automation framework, then recreating the application. So this is kind of not required from tester side. We just have to have the application file, and you just start your automation. We are not supposed to do any kind of changes in your application, because it defeats the purpose of testing. If you are changing your application and then testing it, you wouldn't be very sure that your application, whatever you have tested or whatever you automated, will work or not. Fine. So Appium has their philosophy. First of all, Appium works on both the platform. It's a new platform, it's open source. It has a like the definition says, it has open source tool for automating native mobile web and hybrid application on iOS and Android platform. Before going further, we just discuss few points about native, hybrid, and mobile web. So mobile web is very clear. Whatever website you see on the desktop browsers, you are seeing this on mobile browsers. Fine. So if your application, if your website supports mobile, web mobile, if it's responsive, it will work on mobile web. So nothing much about mobile web. Coming to the point of native and hybrid. So native applications are those which are written using Android, which are written on Android Studio using Java or Android. Fine, whatever Java is the base language which from which the Android is extended, and it has the native elements are not having any HTML, CSS on those kind of web technologies element. Fine. So this is pure native. All the things are written using code, Android code, and there is no such web element involved in that. But in hybrid element, there are there may be some modules in your application that that have HTML part, that have CSS part. There is some, say, profile page on clicking on which you are navigated to a website, mobile website or something. So if your web part is wrapped under the mobile native part, it will be called as hybrid element. Right? So many of the applications which we see today are example of hybrid application. You see uh, Amazon app, you see Flipkart or Snapdeal. So some part on these applications are having web technologies based element also, like I said, HTML or CSS or JavaScript and everything. So if your application is containing those things, it will be called as hybrid. So what Appium philosophy is, why it's so popular? Fine. So first of all, it says that you don't have to recompile your application or modify it in any way in order to automate it. Fine. You shouldn't be logged into a specific language or framework to write and run your test. Fine. Third one is mobile automation framework shouldn't reinvent the wheel when it comes to automation APIs. Fine. And fourth one is mobile automation framework should be open source. So open source, you all know, I mean, it's open to everyone. It's not taking you any, I mean, cost. No. It has a vast, support community. If you are facing any problem, you can just Google it and you can find it using the Appium community. It's used by a very large number of automation testers plus developers across the world. First part we already discussed it. We don't have to recompile your application. You don't have to have the source code or something. You just take the APK and you start application, I mean, automating it. Fine. You don't have to recompile it. You don't have to integrate other libraries in it. Fine. Which others Robotium does, which Frank does, and which other Monkey Talk and everything, whatever other automation framework you use, you have to recompile it using their library. Right? You shouldn't be logged into a specific language. So like we discussed, you have to have knowledge of a particular language in order to automate using a different framework. Say if you're using Calabash, you have to have the knowledge of Ruby, how Ruby works, how there are some elements of Python in that, there are some elements of Ruby in that. So you need to have the knowledge of Ruby language or something. So say if you're knowing C or if you're knowing Java, so and you can't really start using Calabash because you have to learn something about Ruby. Fine. It's a bit complicated in that. Plus, okay. Plus, it says that mobile automation framework shouldn't reinvent the wheel. What it means, it means that whatever is already in market, whatever is already been developed, you shouldn't be try to develop it. So Appium is basically an extension of Selenium WebDriver API. Fine. So we have Selenium 1, then we have Selenium 2, which is WebDriver is basically a major part of Selenium 2. That's why it's called Selenium. Selenium 2 is called as WebDriver also. So those API, I mean, Appium is just using the extension of those WebDriver APIs. So if you know Selenium, if you are using those APIs, you are good to go. You don't have to learn anything. And Appium is really not inventing anything. It's just using the extension of those APIs which are already available in Selenium WebDriver 2. I mean Selenium WebDriver. So these are the four basic philosophy which Appium have. And in many of the interviews, you are asked that why Appium is different. So you need to mention these 4 points. Fine. Why Appium is different? What is the philosophy of Appium? Coming to Appium design, how Appium is working on different frameworks. So in iOS, it's using Apple's UI automation. Again, it's extension of the same principle that you shouldn't be reinventing the wheel. Fine. So Apple has already invented the UI automation. Google is already invented UI automator. Google has already developed the instrumentation part. So using these three on iOS and Android, Appium is going forward. It's not using, I mean, it's not creating anything new. Right? And as it's using iOS native thing and Google's native thing, it's really very easy to implement. So what are Appium concepts? Fine. How Appium works. So Appium, just read these points, just have in mind, we'll discuss it. So it has client server architecture, it has session, it has desired capabilities, it has Appium server and Appium clients. So as the terminology itself says, client server architecture is, it has a client and it has a server. Appium is running as a server. You send your request, fine. You are having Java client or whatever client, you send as a you send your request as a client, and then you get back the response. That's it, fine. Session, everything which you are running on your Appium automation cases are recorded using session. Everything, it's just a in terms of session. Fine, you have started a automation test case. It will be first a session will start, and everything you will do, it will be recorded in that particular session, and it will be uh, automated using that session ID. So these two are the first basic concept. We have desired capabilities. Desired capabilities are nothing but just to in order to start your automation, you have to have uh, a particular set of features which should be available on your client device. Fine, say you are automating on Android, say Nexus 5 device, fine, in portrait mode. So desired capabilities will define that, okay, you need a Android device, you need an Android emulator, you need a operating system as 5.0, your device name is this one, you need a orientation as uh, landscape or portrait, whatever you want. So these things are are coming under desired capabilities, and we'll see if you are having any confusion about this. We'll see in our demo what these mean. Now we have Appium server and Appium clients. So uh, this is the basic architecture. If you uh, see in terms of Android, the Appium server runs in the heart of this architecture. Fine, it has UI Automator command client. It's basically TCP client on which, if you write your WebDriver script using Java or whatever, it works in bidirectional way. Fine, you send it the request, you receive the result. Fine. Using UI Automator, it controls the device on which you are trying to automate your cases. So it doesn't matter you are using Java, you are using C, you are using whatever. You just start using whatever language you want. Fine, it doesn't really a hurdle for you. If you're not knowing C, you can start with Java. If you're not knowing Java, you can start with C. You just have to have the client of that particular language. Right? So it's really language. Many languages are supported basically, if you say. Similar with the iOS. Right? Appium runs in the core. You send your request using WebDriver script. The interesting feature is you can use a similar script. Fine. You can use the similar script on running your test cases on both Android as well as iOS. The basic difference will be in the capabilities. In the Android one, you will define the capabilities as Android devices. In iOS one, you will define the capabilities as Android iOS devices, and that's it. Your script will basically, it will be identically same. Right? You can, if you have written your application in such a way that it can handle both the Android and iOS environment, you don't have to worry much about it. So it's demo time right now, and before going to demo mode, I will show you where you can download these Java clients from Appium, Selenium or whatever. So you can have all these things on Appium. So if you go to appium.io, it's a website. There you can download Appium server. Fine. And once you have downloaded Appium server, you are almost good to go. So how exactly Appium server looks like? So I have already started it, And you can see this is the interface how Appium server looks like. So it has many options like Android, iOS settings or something. So in Android, if you click on that, you will be asked to choose your application, you have to choose your package and activity and all these things. uh, you might have heard about activity in Android, and activity is nothing but the screen which you see, and whatever screen you are seeing currently, it's an activity, right? You see your Facebook login page, or your Facebook home page, or your contacts home page, or whatever you see on your Android device, it's an activity, right? So basically I have selected that uh, application path, the APK path on my system, and I have selected the configuration of the device which I have already uh, the emulator basically which I have already created on my system. So that's it. You need to just there is a button called launch and stop. So before starting automation, you have to launch your server. So at application server, this is a Appium server which is launched right now. You can get the status as success. So right now it's been successfully launched. Now we'll go to Eclipse, and I have already written uh, a small script for executing that part, that particular scenario which we have discussed on this particular application. So coming on desired capabilities, if you can see the code right now, I have started with setting the capabilities. I have set the capabilities as I need the package as com.sportkicks. The app path was this. The platform name was Android. The device name was this one. And now I have using Appium driver. I have started a new Appium session. Fine. So yes, so this was a similar, simple application test. How you can create it, how you can start using Appium. There's nothing much to worry. If you don't understand, it's just to for the demo purpose. It's really not to worry about if you don't understand anything at this point of time. Fine. If you yes, the prerequisite will be if you know Java, it will be good, because we are going to create this automation scenario using Java language. So if you know Java, it's good. Nothing, just the basics of Java. If you know about how to create classes and objects, how to inherit objects, how to use those things, you are really good to go. There's not much to worry. So let's okay, I will just run it as Java application, and it will, if it goes good, it will just stop this application and restart it. It has, you can see it has uninstalled it. It will reinstall it. Now the application has been reinstalled and it has started the application. And like we said, on the launch page, the home page, it will click, I will do this later. And now it will click on okay, got it. And now it will click on videos tab. Yes, fine. And now it has already uninstalled the application and closed this session. Fine. And I got that message that the tab click is video. Fine. In Appium's server also, you can go and find out what exactly the things that has been performed. So you can see that okay, this is waiting for package com.sportkicks, and then it's been started. And this is the session ID about which we were talking about, because every automation scenario will be linked to this session ID also only. Fine. And using this session ID, you can perform other things also. In every uh, request and response, you will see this session ID. So this basically the simple example of automation using Android plus Appium. Now, another thing which you want to know about Android is ADB. ADB basically is a Android. ADB is a command line tool which is really helpful in day-to-day testing tasks plus development tasks. So, where exactly ADB is, you can find it in uh, it's the part of Android SDK. Fine. So in Android SDK, if you go to uh, platform tools, in platform tools folder, you will find ADB. There are many other folders also. If you go to tools, you will find many uh, other tools like emulator. You have Android, you have uh, Monkey Runner, you have Hierarchy Viewer, which are really helpful. The ADB command, why it's very important, it's really the full form is Android Debug Bridge, and like the name suggests, it plays as a bridge between your device and your machine. Fine. So say I have to again install my application, which is on desktop. This is the SportKicks release APK. So how using APK, sorry, ADB, you can do it. So if you are on a Windows machine, just open your open your command prompt. I am on currently on a Mac machine. So on a Mac machine, I have as the ADB is uh, basically the Android SDK is added to my system path, so I can access ADB from any of this screen. So right now I will navigate to desktop, and uh, first of all I will check whether my device is connected or not. So this is the command ADB devices. Using this, you can list the devices which is currently being attached and active with your system. So it says that okay, this device is currently, the name is 192.168.57.101 colon 5555 because it's an emulator. If you have attached your physical device, it will show the name of your physical device, right? So ADB devices is the command using which you can list your devices. If some devices are connected, you just have to uh, use this command ADB install, and let me see what's the application name is. So it says on my desktop it's SportKicks release APK. Fine. So SportKicks. Let me first list what are the items which are available on my desktop. Okay. Right now I'm in the wrong folder. That's why it's not showing me. So yes. Now it should be available because right now I'm working on desktop. So uh, if I type ADB install and then SportKicks release APK, so basically what it will do, it will install my application on this particular device, particular emulator. So right now you can see the SportKicks is not installed, and once I enter this, you will see that ADB has installed. So ADB basically plays the uh, admin kind of role in installing, uninstalling, and performing all the other actions. So right now you can see that okay, this package is being installed, and now it says the success, and now SportKicks has appeared. So similar kind of thing, this uh, other things can also be done using ADB. This was just a simple example of installing application. There are many interview related questions also based on ADB, how you will install it, how you will uninstall it, what other things you can do it. You can extract the log using ADB, you can uninstall the application, you can have certain actions using this. So coming back to our automation scenario, it was, you saw that this is not a difficult part. Fine. And now, if you are uh, known to Selenium, you must be having questions like how you will detect elements, like you detect elements on Selenium. How would you detect it using Appium? Fine. So for that, just let me show you how you can do it. Again, we will run this application, run this automation scenario. So it has uninstalled it. Now my application is open. So once you open your application using Appium, there is an option called okay, something wrong has happened. That's why I got this error. Okay, got it. I haven't stopped that particular session, and right now I'm trying to create a new session. That's why I got this message. So first of all, I need to stop this, then launch again. So that the previous sessions, whatever log is there, it's cleared out. So let's see if this helps. Okay, could not be located using. Okay, great. Basically, my connection is somewhat slower. That's why before I have selected that. Okay, wait for 10 seconds, but in 10 seconds it's not getting loaded, and that's why my automation cases failed. So once I get success from Appium server, I will try to restart it. And if you see these find element by ID, find element by XPath, and all these things, these are the same which you have used on Selenium. Fine. This is basically the extension of that. So you can use different strategies based on find element. Fine. You can you can identify using ID. You can identify using XPath by class or whatever you were using on Selenium. So basically, this is also an important question in asked in interview. How would you identify element on uh, Android device? So this is how we'll do it. So once the application is started, there is an option called Appium Inspector. Fine. So it will launch this window, the Appium Inspector window, in which with the screenshot of whatever application screen you were on. So right now I was on this screen. So it grabbed that screen capture of that particular application and it launched with that. So using this, say I want the ID of this score. Right? So once I clicked on scores, it gives me the details of that particular element. So it says that the XPath is this. So using this XPath, you can identify it. It also has ID. It has a resource ID. It has a type. It has label score. So using label also you can using ID also, using XPath also. So this is the simpler method of identifying the element. If you want to identify this particular element, whether it's football, whether it's hour or whatever, even this smaller icon. So all these things can be identified, and as you can see, choosing this will change the resource ID. Fine. The resource ID is now txt underscore time. The resource ID is now image under. So you have different method by which you can uh, identify a particular element. And if you have identified it, now you can perform action using it. So you can, tap and swipe and shake and whatever. So let's say we'll click on this one and we'll see we have to tap on this. So I have selected live, and now I will try to tap on it. Currently, if you can see, it's on video, fine, in the emulator. And in this Appium Inspector, I have selected live, and now I will tap on this. So basically, it will perform an action. So now you can see it's been uh, the tab has been changed to live one, fine. And now you have it has already refreshed itself, and now you are getting the screen grab of live screen. So this is how you can identify element in Appium Inspector. This is not, not a very big task or something, not a very giant, thing to learn. So if you are keen in learning automation and everything, you can just start using Appium, start playing with the emulators, start playing with APK and whatever. And it's really not a very big challenge in terms of learning. So guys, that was it from my side. Now if you have any questions, before that, we have already discussed this part, future for mobile automation. But if you can see this figure, now 2010 onward, it's really mobile, social, big data, and the cloud. So mobile is one of the four major platform on which the changes are currently going on. Everything is going mobile. So there is a huge demand of developers, as well as huge demand of testers, plus huge demand of automation testers. So if you want to learn uh, automation testing, this is the best time to start with. Now, questions and answers.
Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah, sure. Hello.
Yeah, tell me.
Yeah, this is Ashok. I joined this session for middle only. Can I get that record file or any sessions having same session?
Yeah, so I
And
believe it's been recorded, so you will get a link for this recording.
oh, okay. I got it. Some plans from. I already started the same APM using the automation.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just start with my end. I'll get back any queries and help mails. Can I get your email ID? Any contact information?
Yeah, sure. You can you will get all these things on email. No, not an issue.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So anything regarding any technical thing or something which you want to know at this point? I mean, any trivial question
Uh,
or any good question you want.
I think right now it's not an issue. I got a point. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Anyone has any questions?
Hi Rishabh.
Yeah. Hi.
Can you tell me what is this extension to save the script here?
Sorry, I didn't get you. Which
Uh, is
extension?
there
I mean.
any is there any extension to save the script in Appium?
So basically, it will be saved as a Java file. Fine, you are using a Java now. So if you are trying to use Java, so it will be saved as Java, and you can just uh, open that. And one of the tools which are available with Appium is it can also record your current, whatever you are doing with your application. It can have it has the functionality of recording and playing. So once you start recording, you will get your script. You can save it, fine, using it will be saved as a .java file.
Okay, and as you said that we don't have to be specific for any language. Okay.
Yeah, right.
So can we convert this script in any other language?
So in terms of converting, it's not the functionality of converting. It's just using your whatever application you want. It's just the Java client plus some other clients that are available over here. So let me just share my screen how you can do that.
Okay.
So if you go to the Selenium site, so this is a Selenium HQ. Fine. You click on download. You will be navigated to the download part, and here you can see the different clients. Fine, Java client, C#, Ruby, Python, JavaScript, whatever you want. So using these, you can start whatever language you want. Fine. You also have C client. I don't know why it's not being shown here, but you can download that, and you can using those library you can start writing your scripts in C. And once you are writing in C now, you will see your scripts as C file, .cpv file or something.
Okay.
So you don't have to really, it's not the functionality of converting Java to C. Fine. It's really you have to start using C++, and you can record those sessions, and it will be recorded by default in C files.
Okay, that's it. That I've used Selenium, and in that I can save a script as a Java file or Ruby, Python. That's why I was asking same thing.
No, that kind of thing is currently not possible with this Appium. Maybe in future, as they are developing and as they are making more features available in Appium. So maybe in future you can get that.
Okay. And one more thing, is there any need to download Selenium for this Appium as well? Like connectivity is there?
There are two things which you really require. One is Appium server and two library files, which I will show you. It has a Selenium server, I have used the Java client plus server standalone. So these two things you will require, nothing else. It's available on Selenium site.
Selenium Java?
Selenium standalone server and Selenium Java. Right. Those two things only. Because as you know, Appium is using Selenium extensions. Fine. So if you find element by, so if you have not integrated these libraries, it will throw an error. Fine. So Appium is nothing. It's just Selenium, extension of Selenium on the mobile devices.
Okay. One more thing, like apart from this, but something related to mobile testing.
Sorry, I couldn't hear your sound. It was. If you can type your chat.
Work as a tester. Okay. I've tested.
Sorry. I couldn't hear you properly. If you can type it, or if you can say it again. Hello. Hello.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Actually, I work as a web-based tester, web-based application. So for mobile testing, can I start with directly automation testing, or again I have to spend some time with manually? I have to do mobile testing and then with.
You just try to know how exactly a mobile application work. I mean, in terms of installation and everything. And if you are, I mean, good with that, because you must be using your Android phone or iPhone or whatever you are having, so you must be knowing about Android applications. Fine. So there's, I mean, no such need of investing your time in manual. You can, in 1 or 2 days, you will be familiar with the all the manual concept on mobile, and you can start with automation. So you just need to know how APK works, how installation of this work, how you can configure your emulator, how you will use your Android Studio in getting all these things. Once it's all set up, you can good to go. You are good to go in 1-2 days. No, not such a major requirement of time investing in manual.
Okay. Thank you, Rishi.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? I believe no one has any questions right now. So even if you have any question in future, you can just mail it to Tech Canvas, and it will be taken care of. Not an issue. So thanks everyone for joining this. And you can start learning automation. It's not a big thing. Thanks again for joining. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Rishi.
Thank you.